love you. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to BCC Virtual Racing, and tonight's race, the Lutece Express, hosted by the Glasgow Green Cycle Club. And tonight's race is 39.7 kilometres long, 5 laps around the Champs-Élysées, the reverse course of the Tour, at 6.6 kilometres per lap, and following a 2.2 kilometre lead-in. The course is largely flat, although it has one sort of longish gradient, a total of 223 metres of climbing. And I'm just checking tonight that everything's actually working properly. I think it is. The starts tonight are staggered at 1 minute intervals, as is the norm for Glasgow Green Cycle Club. I was supposed to be starting with the category A, but it looks as if it's put me in category B. Maybe I didn't change that early enough in the process. However, not to be outdone, first group, Cat A, is off at 10 past 8 in just a minute's time, or just a few seconds actually. 5 riders in category A, 11 in category B, 4 in Cat C. That is, I would imagine, the category A riders going off. Looks as if I've just seen a late joiner there from BCC. There's a good shot there of the start pens. And coming back to the lineup tonight, 4 riders in category C and 3 in category D, who will only ride 3 laps this evening. So 34 seconds to the start for category B. And tonight, being a largely flattish course, I should say, there are no hills, of course. It is the centre of Paris, but it will favour, as it does in the Tour, the sprinters, the larger riders. They should be able to take advantage of this course, and I expect the groups to split up fairly quickly and the start to be very quick on this occasion. And the riders are off. Let's see if we can pick up one of the B riders straight away. And there is Kalik on screen now at 504 watts. That's quite an output for him. Heartbeat's already up to 158, so it looks as if he's had a good warm-up in there with him. I imagine most of the key players tonight. Let's see if we can find some of them. Campbell right behind him. This is a course that should suit him well. Davis is in there as well. Just have a little look a little bit further back. There's Thompson from GGCC, the Glasgow Green Cycle Club. They are our hosts for this evening's race, and he'll be looking to beat Davis again. And Kalik is just focus on him for a moment. He's riding well now, clearly getting stronger and stronger. In fact, he was first out of the Bs on Thursday night's race, first for BCC out of the Bs. Can't remember where he was overall, but it was a good ride for him, and I think he may just have hit 4 watts per kilo for that, but still not quite his 95% at 4 watts, but he is right on the verge. In fact, there is the hill that I've been talking about. He is right on the verge of being promoted to category A, which will, I have no doubt, delight the riders that are surrounding him right now, particularly Campbell, Davis. No sign of Lancey tonight. I think he's a non-starter. Have a quick look in Category A just to see what's happening. Field tonight, Charles, I think, racing in A. Is this his first time racing in A? Maybe his second, I'm not quite sure. Stoneham and Tom there, of course. Stoneham's been riding very well recently, had a great win the other last week, I think it was. But Tom, not to be outdone, the two keep battling against each other. Stoneham seems to be getting the upper hand, but Tom this week has won the TT. In fact, we had 41 entrants in the TT this week, which was a great result, and I think a record. Just having a look at the Category A, jury's in there as well. If I can just grab hold. There's, no, can't click on. All moving too fast. There's Charles, 307, 312 watts. Strong rider and getting stronger. I think it's just had his watt bike readjusted, so he's now confident it's putting out the power that it should be. So his challenge now is to stay with the A's. I think he is going to. 10% difference in a watt bike is not going to make a massive difference for a rider of his capability, at least not in my view. And there's Jury off to a good start as well, just sitting in there amongst the bunch. She has Stoneham behind her at the moment. That's where he often likes to ride. And I think I saw a power up being used there from, might have been Tom, not sure, but one of the riders is already tiring by the looks of it. So we are at 3 minutes 59 into the race and 2.9 kilometres, and back down from the Arc de Triomphe. There's a cobbled section of the course, and that is virtually all it is. It's up to one end, round a small square and back again. The sprint banner, I think, is coming up ahead. So we shall leave Tom, Stoneham, Jury, Charles for now. Have a look further back in the field, see what's happening. Don't forget now, the Bs have started 1 minute further behind the A's. Let's just see if I can pick up the first B to get an indication of how far ahead the A's are. It will be a challenge to follow actually, as it's a multi-lap race, but we'll come back to that. Kalik is still up there at the front. Ketley's in there as well, just noticed him for the first time in this race. Not a course that will probably suit him particularly well, but strong rider nonetheless. Moving further back through the field, Thompson from GGCC, 247 watts at the moment, part up at 158. Taff is in there as well. I spotted him for the first time. If I can click on him, I will. There we go. 270 watts. So riders 4 minutes 30 into the race will just beginning to settle. Nice to see Empson in there as well. He has been riding well of recent, and I think on Thursday night's race, where did he come? 5th for BCC, just ahead of Ketley, 5 seconds ahead of Ketley, so I have no doubt Ketley will be aware of that and hoping to reverse that situation. So already we have what looks like one large group of B riders. I think there is a split though. We'll just move further back in the field. Let's see if we can pick up another split. Stoneham Senior, of course, not Junior, who's quite some distance ahead at this stage, but that's Stoneham Senior right up the front with the big guns from BCC. He'll be doing well to hold on to that pace, but this is also a course that might suit him well. He's got a strong finish on him, quite a good sprinter as well. I'm moving back now through the field. Empson, has he fallen off the back? No, it's not, it's just the group is quite large. He's towards the back of it at this stage, as is Mayhew Smith, who looks to be struggling already. That might be a little bit unfair. Let's have a look and see if we can see Mayhew Smith. I think he looks to me as if he is in danger of falling off the back of this group now. He has to be very careful at this stage. 4.7 kilometers in, 36.7 kilometers long, 2.2 kilometer lead in. So they are now on the lapped part of I should say the laps of the course, having completed the lead in. I'm getting an error from YouTube for some reason, but anyway, not much I can do about that right now, so hopefully this will work this evening. And in fact, just excuse me for 1 second, I'll just double check that it is at least recording. It is. And with Shannon now, this is almost certainly a second group of B riders, some 14 seconds behind the front group. Littlewood already off the back of even the second group. But don't forget, Littlewood has recently been promoted to the Bs, so you'll be finding the pace quite tough, as everyone does who moves from Cat C to Category B. Last race he averaged 3.2 watts per kilo, which in wattage terms 227, so he's a little bit under that at the moment, but a long way to go. This is a fairly lengthy race. And let's have a look at the Category C riders and see who we can see in there from BCC. Chris Reed, another late entry, didn't spot him on the start sheet. He did very well, I think, on the last race, was it? No, the one before, I think it was, he won, so not last Thursday, this time last week, the GGCC race. And here we are coming up under the underpass, very short, sharp little bump on the course, 7% it goes up to. It is enough to make a difference, so this is a great place to attack. It's often seen on the tour itself, riders attack hard out of this underpass. Behind Reed, I saw Tamsin a little bit further back. Category B rider by herself, that's unfortunate. Needs to make a decision right now really for this race. Move backwards towards the chasing C's, or make a real effort and push forward. My approach would be to drop back at this stage. 20 seconds behind her in Category C, Oliver White coming up the underpass now, again up to 7%. Another rider that's approaching Cat B, not quite there yet, averaging 2.9 watts, in fact 3 watts per kilo at 20 minutes. A little bit to go, but it won't be long. No heart rate though, so he's heading for a disqualification if he gets a good result. Up to 278 watts, well that's almost certainly a Category B type performance. So you can't hide by not wearing a heart rate monitor, we will find you. And further back in the field, how many riders in Cat C? Just 4. White, Quigley, Nixon and Cullen I haven't seen yet. Quigley either. I'm sure he's in there, quite a strong rider as well. And there is Cullen. In fact, now he looks isolated. That's not a good position for him to be in. In fact, oh no, this looks like a disaster for him. He's on a TT bike. Is he on a TT bike? Let's have a look. He's on a TT bike. That's a total disaster really. No ability to draft whatsoever. Zwift doesn't allow it, so he has done himself a great disservice here. The only way he can make up time now is to, in fact he's gone down to 0 watts. He's stopping. Unbelievable. Still pedaling. What's going on with Cullen? Has he got a mechanical? Is he going to change bikes maybe? No, he's stopped and then decided to go again. Very unusual tactics there. Maybe he's trying to frighten the other group. I don't know. Not sure what's going on there. We'll come back to him later. But that TT bike, the only way he can do well now is just to keep pushing. And moving further back in the D's, welcome back to Measham, who's been stateside for quite some time and I think suffered an injury recently, so he'll be looking to get himself back into full health, riding for the Cheetahs. And with him there is Lay, another rider seeking to get back to full fitness. Just lost it. And Telford. There is Lay, and in fact just spotted up ahead Rob Jones, riding well, 17 seconds ahead of Telford. And let's have a look at the last race they rode together. He was nearly 2 minutes ahead of Telford, so it looks as if, currently at least, Jones is getting the better of Telford. A fairly flattish course, of course. This will, I think, suit Jones. He is a good climber, but I think Telford's just that little bit stronger on the hills. We have another, oh, that's Mishan. I think, having a look, it's just Telford, Mishan, Jones and Lay in category D. Lay was another late entry, didn't have him on my start list. So we'll move up towards the front of the field now, have a look and see what's going on there. I notice anyone I haven't mentioned yet on the way past. I will stop momentarily. Who is that? Littlewood. Ah, good to see Littlewood's found some other riders. Little bit of a push, he'll catch on to this group of maybe 4 or 5 riders, a little bit strung out ahead of him as they approach the Arc de Triomphe, go around the Arc and then back down the Champs-Élysées. And of course these cobbles, while virtual cobbles, will be slowing the riders down. Zwift does take that into account. There's Nixon now at 8 kilometres, 12 minutes 10 seconds into the race. Looks to be riding quite well, 325 watts. And on Thursday, did he race on Thursday? Let's have a look. Yes, he was third for category B, averaging 3.1, so getting very close to, sorry, for category C, getting very close to being promoted to Cat B. Reed now at 8.6 kilometres, 12 minutes 46 seconds in, and 20 seconds ahead of him is Shannon, who seems to be now right at the back of the B category. 22 seconds ahead of him is Mayhew Smith, but we'll go to Mayhew Smith in just a moment. So Shannon riding at 2.4 just at the moment, and looking at his last race, he was right on power at 3.2 watts per kilo, which is fairly normal for him. He's on a Tron bike though. It's one of the fastest bikes, or certainly the Tron bike with the Tron wheels is one of the fastest bikes for this type of course. And moving forward, see if we can pick up Mayhew Smith 20 seconds further ahead, and Mayhew Smith looks to be suffering a bit. As I spotted very early on, he seemed to be dropping off the back of the field, and he has done just that. With a small group of Cat B riders though, I'm sure he'll be comfortable in there. It's certainly not going to make a break for it at this stage, because next up ahead of him is 40 seconds further up. Stoneham has not kept pace with the leading B group. That's unfortunate really, because he now has to decide what to do. And I would suggest probably the best thing for him is to move backwards towards the chasing group, which is group, let me think about it, group 3, but up towards the front of Cat B now. There's Thompson from GGCC right next to Empson and Davis, all in here. Ketley still in there as well, as is Campbell and Tarth. So this is the leading group. In fact, all these riders are changing back and forward really. They are all together in reality, so riding as one unit just as they revolve around slowly. And if I can get past them, they're now at 11.8 kilometres. Let's just see how Kalik is doing. Is he managing to pull away from any? No, but he is, and is consistently near the front of this group. So I suspect he's holding back a little at this stage. It might be a good tactic for him. He is one of the younger BCC riders, so it is expected he should be up the front, and he's certainly a very capable rider when he makes the effort. but I suspect he's been emboldened by his recent results and is keen to push on and show just what he is capable of, which I think is a bit more than this. And we'll come back to Kalik a little bit. Charles. Now Charles and Jury have not kept pace with the leading riders in Cat A. Not sure how far forward they are at the moment, but nothing behind them, and that may be the Cat A group in front of them. Charles and Jury. So Charles' heartbeat 172, so it's certainly up there. That's a high heartbeat for an average. And Jury, let's see if we can get some numbers on her. 233 is around her FTP. 165 and her heartbeat at 14.2 kilometres. Not quite halfway yet. That's 6 seconds further ahead. So that is the leading. I'll just go back to that view. That group ahead of them now is, I think, the leading group. With Tom. No, it's not. In fact, it's a small group with Tom included, just ahead. But 5 seconds further ahead of Tom is Stoneham, right at the very front of this race. Just 3 riders by themselves. In fact, let's have a look. That is Tom behind them. That is Tom moving away in the distance, who is in fact moving back to Jury and Charles by the looks of it. Too early to say. Keep a close eye on that. And this is just passing a Cat D rider. As a reminder, Cat D are only completing 3 laps. Are only is not really a fair comment, but probably quite suitable. Let's see what's happening now. So Stoneham, all of a sudden, while I've been talking, is 14 seconds ahead of the 2 riders. Sorry, behind the 2 riders he was with. And without me even clicking on something, Zwift to move me off somewhere else. So let's see if I can just get back to the front again, and we will work back through the field. That's the Category B group with Kalik and Edson, Davis, Thompson, Ketley, all in there still, all together. They will not stay together towards the end, would be my guess, but just trying to get back to Cat A. Without clicking on a Cat B rider, oh sorry, a Cat D rider, which this group is now poised to overtake. There is Jury. Let's see if we can get back to it now. Right, so I think that was Zwift just reporting incorrectly its numbers, or it takes a little while sometimes to update, so pleased to say Stoneham is still with these other 2 riders at 16.3 kilometres, 21 minutes 28 seconds into the race. So Stoneham is riding well. This has become typical of his style of recent. If he can find a group, small group to ride with, he will do, and it's within his capability. Heartbeat, of course, as is usual for him, right up there, close to 200 beats per minute, which is enough to make sure the rest of us expire. And he is now pulling away from Tom. So what used to be an ongoing weekly battle between these 2, Stoneham seems to be getting the upper hand on a fairly continuous basis, but too early to call this. Of course, there is a long way to go yet, so Stoneham needs to play it carefully. Just save some energy, as Tom is an experienced rider as well. Tom some 22 seconds behind Stoneham at this stage. And about 15 seconds further back, Charles and Yuri still together. Both on Watt bikes, I think. And moving back to the Bs now. So this group of Bs is some 20, 30, 35 seconds ahead of the main, sorry, behind the main bunch of, or the second bunch of A riders. So they have eaten into that 1 minute's advantage the A's had, and at this stage they will finish faster than the slower group of Category A riders. So Ketley at 16.7 kilometres, 22 minutes 18 seconds into the race. Average 3.8 watts per kilo in his last race, some 225 watts approximately, 225. So sitting in the group, they're not pushing that kind of output right now. He'll want to stay in there as long as he can. On the other hand, Campbell, one of the larger, stronger riders, he has the opportunity to make a break for this, and he is certainly capable. I've seen him ride on many occasions. Davis is capable as well. He's here. But Davis won't want to push it above 3.99 watts per kilo. Not at this stage, but he does have a running average right next to him, so he'll know as soon as he gets close to it and needs to back off. He may have let that to Kalik as well, that device, whatever it is, so he can stay under 4 watts per kilo. But right now, Campbell, Ketley, Taft looks to have fallen back. Since we last saw him, 31 seconds behind that leading group of B riders, and as is fairly often with him, a rider by himself. And as I often say, if there are riders behind you, don't waste time trying to push on and catch up or just holding the pace. Just ease off, give yourself a bit of a chance to recover, join the group behind. If you're feeling strong, once you've joined that group, there will be an opportunity later on to push ahead, particularly in this multi-lap format, because you may well be able to catch faster groups that are lapping slower riders. That also happens. And this is where that's Stoneham Senior, 17 kilometres, 24 minutes in. Mayhew Smith, I just saw. Thought those two might get close together, but they're at least 1 minute apart at this stage. Yes, they are 1 minute apart. I've lost Mayhew Smith, he's here somewhere. I was. And I just saw Shannon, there we are, Shannon at 16.6 kilometres, so with Chris Reed just ahead of him in Cat C. Chris Reed, Cat C rider, Shannon the Cat B rider. So it looks as if Reed is about due to be moved up to Cat B. Can't be far off it. I don't think I have his numbers at hand. Let me just have a quick look. No, it doesn't look like it. And there's Nixon some 51 seconds behind Shannon at 16.6 kilometres, and another rider isolated. This is all down to the speed of this course. As you saw at the start, riders pushing very, very hard, and that has just caused a split, multiple splits left, right and centre. And here's Littlewood, some 34 seconds behind Nixon in category B. Sorry, that's not Littlewood, this is Littlewood. Sorry, 1 minute behind Nixon. Found one other to ride with, and that other, no, I was going to say it's White, it was just the way the clock worked for a moment there. White is 17 seconds further back. And I'll move back through the rest of the Cat C field, see what's happening, see if we can see what's going on with Cat D. They are on 3 laps, so that will be about 17 kilometres for them. Trying not to miss the finish. No sign of Cullen on his TT bike. And go back through the field. There is Stoneham Jr. still out front. Just lapped Lay by the looks of it. There we have Lay at 14.8, Jones at 14.7 with him, just reporting slightly different distance there. Jones is riding well. Tom is 1 minute behind them, ahead of them, on a different category of course. And Telford, so here we go. This is what I wanted to see. So Telford at the moment 5 seconds behind Measham. And this is where the riders were all... There is Cullen in fact, still all by himself on his TT bike. If only he was listening, it might be advantageous for him just to stop, change the bike and keep going, because this is going to be a hard race. This is going to be for him like a 36 kilometre time trial. That's a very, very difficult thing to do. No respite for him whether he's in a peloton or not. But coming back to Cat D, looks as if Jones is still well ahead of Telford. Telford, I think, let's just have a look, riding a little bit comfortably, I would say. And riding for the Cheetahs, as is Cullen, some 14 seconds behind him. And let's move back to Cat B. Now this is the front of Category B at 21.4 kilometres with Davis, Campbell, Empson, Campbell, who else? I'm sure Ketley will be in there as well. Cannot possibly imagine that he isn't. No sign of Kalik at the moment. Just have to be patient. There he is. Van Kalik at 21.6 kilometres. Thompson from GGCC in with Kalik as well. Thompson will know many of these riders now, as not only the host but has ridden with BCC, or maybe we've ridden with him many a time, so he'll know how these riders perform. There is Ketley, still with the group, all still together at 21.9 kilometres. I would expect some movement now if it's going to happen. Really got to happen now, otherwise it's going to be a sprint finish, perhaps dropping 1 or 2 riders off as that approaches, but I would not imagine there's going to be much of a change. So I want to try, if I can, get the finish of the D riders, as they are coming up towards the finish. About 3 kilometres left for them, if I can find them. Stoneham, Senior, Marcus Stoneham, 20 kilometres. Excuse me while I just jump around the field. Just tried to see if I could find Jones and Telford. I just saw Jones there in a flash, went right past. While we're here, quick look at Jury, still with Charles in this small group of about 5-6 riders. There's Measham, 16.4. I suspect I have missed the finish of Jones. Unfortunately, I don't think. Oh, there is Jones. 17.3 kilometres. Richard Lay 8 seconds ahead. And I'm just calculating this mentally because 3 laps, 18, 19, 20, well there might be about 22 kilometres they finish out, so we'll try and come back to that. Back towards the front, Tom, still in a group of 5 riders. The real battle, of course, no doubt is up front with Stoneham. I can try and work out how much further ahead he is. Let's have a look. This ride is at 24.4. To move through the field quickly. 25.5 for this category A rider. There is Stoneham. Let's let Zwift settle with the timings. Looks as if Stoneham is in second place, some 13 seconds ahead of the rider ahead of him. I think I've seen that competitor OEN, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, this rider here. Stoneham's won himself a jersey. So just 2 riders, Stoneham and Beck from the USA, at 25.9 kilometres, 33 minutes 49. I'd expect the entire race to take maybe 45, maybe a little bit longer, 45, 50 minutes say, something of that nature. So they are losing touch with this rider who is going out all by themselves on a TT bike, no less. So this has been a strong move from this rider. Didn't notice that, has been on a TT bike, I'm assuming, from the start. So has taken no advantage of the draft and yet has managed to pull away now 24 seconds ahead of Stoneham. There is Stoneham. .5 kilometres, about 10k left to go. We'll have a look and see what's happening now in the leading group of Cat B riders. There's Tom on the way back. He is now with, as sort of predicted, Charles. He has moved back through the field with Charles now and Jury. That will also help Charles and Jury in a slightly larger field. And I would imagine that this group will stay together. Charles certainly won't be attempting to catch up Stoneham at this stage. Just a crossover point there on the course. Jones. Lay is now 20 seconds ahead at 19.1 kilometres, or Lay's at 19.4, Jones is at 19.1. Looks as if Jones is by himself though. Anyone behind? Oh, a massive group behind. In fact, that is the leading group of B riders. Just as they overtake, so I'll try and pick them up, so we're looking for them. Are all of the usual suspects still in this group? Ketley's there, Empson's there, Thompson from GGCC, Campbell and Davis looking for, there is Campbell. Campbell still continuing to go from strength to strength. Empson consistently strong, the odd performance doesn't quite go to plan, but that happens to everyone. There is Davis, carefully managing the wattage, and Kalik really should be pushing harder than that. He's had his opportunity, 10k left. He could still do it. He rode well the other week, last week. Although, let's have a look. I'm just looking at the times. 40 seconds ahead of Campbell, but he did make a break late in the proceedings. Maybe that's his tactic today, but it would be nice to see a young rider like this just make a brave move and go for it rather than hanging out with the middle-aged men. Maybe he's carrying a bit too much weight at the moment. Haven't looked that up recently. 76.2 kilos actually, it says on my sheet. Can't believe that. I've never seen him that light before. But there he is, nonetheless, getting stronger and stronger as he gets lighter and lighter. Davis, Campbell, Empson, Ketley, all in this group. The longer they wait, the longer it's going to, the greater the chance of a sprint finish. A couple of featherweight power-ups coming out there. Ketley just towards the back of the group, but nothing to worry about there. I don't think he's likely to lose touch with this group, certainly not at this stage in the race. Well, that group looks as if it could split in two. Need to be careful, those riders towards the back. And while they think about that, just keen to come back and see what's happening with the Category D riders. I'll just try and calculate exactly the distance they're covering. Might still tell me on the companion app. Let's have a look. Kilometres, so about a kilometre left, so we'll stay with these riders actually, give them a chance to be in the limelight. So we have Richard Lay at 21.4 kilometres, 36 minutes 35, and I think this is the finish for them. If not, we'll come back on the next lap. Jones is now 32 seconds behind, unfortunately by himself, but I'm sure he's prepared to accept that if he stays ahead of Telford. Just keen to see where the finish line is going to appear for these guys. Coming around the Arc de Triomphe now. Still pulling slightly ahead of Jones. And we might get a view of the finish line. Is this the finish line coming up now for Richard Lay? 37 minutes 35 seconds into the race, 21.9 kilometres. I think, if I've calculated it correctly, it's at about 22 kilometres, and that would be the finish line ahead of them. Let's see if they do in fact finish at this stage. He's not increasing his power output, which suggests it isn't the finish. And as I've noticed, Lay nearly always has a bit of a push for the end. Now it could be rider in front is sprinting a bit. Let's see what happens. Just go back to Jones, 34 seconds further back, and I can see Lay ahead. Power is coming down to 1.9 watts per kilo. No, he's not taking the power off. That might not be the finish. Let's see what happens with Jones. Still going. And is still racing, so apologies for that. That isn't the finish. It would be helpful if I knew where it was. In fact, Lay is continuing to pull away from Jones, now increased that gap to 42 seconds. Just wait a little bit longer. Quite often the finish lines come into view quite clearly the distance on the moving map on the top right, but not for too long. In fact, I'm keen not to miss the finish of, there's Cullen still persevering with his TT bike, sitting behind another rider. Of course that's doing him no good whatsoever. In fact, Cullen about to be consumed by a huge peloton coming up behind. And delay again. Is this the finish? Could be, must be. Let's have a look as Richard Lay crosses the finish line. Let's see. It's Jones now approaching the finish line. If his power comes right off, we know that is the finish. Lay has just finished some 45 seconds ahead of him. And Jones is tactically playing a power up the featherweight. Good place to do it. Slight incline here. Goes up to 2%. Power's not going up towards the finish. A little bit early though. But he has no other BCC riders around him, so no need to overdo it. Down to 94 watts. He is just cruising across the line. And someone else sprinting on another triathlon bike, and that is Jones going down to 0 watts. So that in fact was the finish. Mishan's coming in now, some 48 seconds behind Jones. That's a good return to racing for him after his visit stateside and an injury. We'll leave him there and see. And Telford, look, is another 50 seconds further away, so I'm afraid you're going to cross the line by yourself there. Now the trick is, can we get back to Stoneham right up the front of the race? Let's see if I can do just that. There is Stoneham, still in second place, still with that same rider, Beck, at 33.4 kilometres. No idea where the other rider ahead of him has got to. Don't want to click on anything further ahead at this stage, or we'll lose Stoneham for the finish. So what is Stoneham thinking? Looks as if the chasing group of A's have closed the gap a little bit, but not significantly enough, still about 30 seconds behind. Not in sight really on that view. So 33.7 kilometres, 3 kilometres to go. Have a quick look at Tom behind. Tom and Charles is still in there. It's a good performance from him. I expected it to sort of keep up with or be near Tom, and certainly with Jury, but not Stoneham, to be perfectly honest. As they rise up the 3% incline at 34.6 kilometres, now 45 minutes into the race, so it might be a little bit over 50 minutes. This is one of the longer races time-wise. And it looks as if the leading Cat B riders are 1 minute behind, and don't forget they started 1 minute later, so in effect they are neck and neck. Charles on screen now, 328 watts, heartbeat 174, so he's managed to hold that heartbeat throughout the race. Who's it going to be on the sprint between Jury, Charles and Tom? Good question. Jury's got a very, very good kick. Don't think I've seen Charles sprint too many times. Tom is certainly a good sprinter as well. Could well come down to just experience and the timing of the sprint more than anything else. Stoneham now at 34.6, still with Beck. These two are going to battle it out now by the looks of it until the end. Just passing a group of slower Category C riders. Not only did they start 2 minutes after these two A cat riders, but they've lapped them as well. And I just saw the first place rider in Cat A is some 8 minutes ahead of Stoneham. Could well be riding over power. Let's see what happens at the end. I hope so, in a way, because this could be another great win for Stoneham if he manages to hold off Beck. I have no statistics on Beck, so I don't know how Beck has performed. So the finish is broadly right down the end of this road. Should become visible fairly shortly. Now at 35.4 kilometers, 48 minutes into the race. Just over 1 kilometer to go in the Lutece Express. Lutece, I think is a road, Rue de Lutece, I suspect is what it's named after. Now this is the reverse of the Champs-Élysées course. Looks a bit more interesting this way, actually. So there is a large group of riders behind these two, but I think that is the, yes it is, it's the group of Cat C riders they just passed, mixing up with some other A riders. 36.2 kilometers. That is the finish ahead. Who is going to take this race on? Is Stoneham's just beginning to wind it up a little bit? So is Beck, though. They're responding to each other. And Stoneham's up out of the saddle at 13 watts per kilo. Beck is not holding pace. And the rest, there's a whole pile of riders just suddenly joined in with them. And it looks, oh, I'm not sure who crossed the line there first. I have to come back to that. It looks as if they were closed down by the riders, the rest of the Cat A field behind them. Missed that. Suddenly caught up. Charles looks to have had a great sprint. I'll have to go back and look at that one. I was focused on Stoneham to see where he was going to come, but didn't notice the group sneaking up behind. So what's going on here? Looks as if Ketley has not kept pace with the leading B group, sorry, and here goes Campbell for the sprint. Empson's ahead. Empson's got Campbell by the looks of it. Empson crosses the line first, then Campbell. Where is Davis? Ketley's coming in now 30 seconds further back. No sign of Davis. I'm sure he's there somewhere. Ketley's not sprinting. And Ketley just cruises across the line and will move further back. Looks as if Davis must have crossed already. I suspect he has. So out of the faster riders, Kalik didn't see where he finished either. Hopefully he did the right thing and finished right up the front. And let's have a quick look now and see who is left on course. Just let this settle a bit. Mayhew Smith at 34.3 kilometres, somewhat further back in the field. Just have a quick look and see if anyone is ahead of him. Shannon, of course, there's Shannon. 34.5 I think he is. Yes, he's along next to Reed still. So 34.5 kilometres. Chris Reed there as well at 50 minutes 35 seconds. Just have a quick look, see if anyone is further ahead. Stoneham. Stoneham's found someone else to ride at. 34.7, a little bit further ahead than Shannon and Reed. Looks to have found the riding tough today. So around the Champs-Élysées, around the Arc de Triomphe now, and then back down towards the finish. I don't think Taff is still on course. Let's have a look. In fact, Taff is just ahead of Stoneham by the looks of it. So he may well get caught by Stoneham. Yes, in fact, Stoneham is just joining on to that group. Stoneham's 1 second behind, and he'll know Taff is just in front of him. Is he going to join on? He sees that group now. Is he pushing? He needs to make a push right now to catch that group in front, then relax before the sprint for the finish. He's just creeping up on them. It's a harder effort to creep up. He's done it. He's just catching onto the back right now. It's a good move. Taff is at the front of this group, 35.3 kilometres. I'll have a quick look. I don't think there is anyone further ahead. We'll stick with Taff and Stoneham. Stoneham's dropped off again. This is the time to push. You need to stay on there. 345 watts. It's not for lack of effort. And there we go. Crossing the finish line. Taff first, then Stoneham. Chris Reed coming up to the finish line now. Where is Shannon? Behind him, I think. Unless I miss Shannon along with Stoneham. And here comes Chris Reed, 5.5 watts per kilo, and crosses the finish line. There is Shannon. Just crossed at the same time by the looks of it. Oh no, Shannon is still riding, sorry. So Shannon can't tell with all the ride-on thumbs up coming out what the time was there, but Shannon 36.1 kilometres, 53 minutes up this slight rise. Mayhew Smith sees him. Mayhew Smith is only 3 seconds behind. This is a gap that can be closed in this time. Shannon holding on, 220 watts. No sign of Mayhew Smith yet. Looks as if Shannon is pulling away. And there is Mayhew Smith 6 seconds further back. So Shannon has pulled out a little bit further away. The finish line comes into view now. A slight decline and then a slight incline before the finish, just minus 1%, 1%. All the power watts coming out now. Shannon 5 watts per kilo. He'll just be keen to stay away from Reed, who's at 7.1 watts per kilo. Is Shannon going to hold on? Looks like he is. Reed's backing off. Reed's back on the power again, and is Shannon followed by Reed. Mayhew Smith by himself. Doesn't look as if it's been a great ride for him. At 138 watts, really need to make a bit of a push, just for show at least, crossing the line. And he crosses the line 54.30, I think it is. Next up, Cullen deserves a medal for just continuing to push on this TT bike. Being passed by everyone now. In fact, Cullen has got another 10k to go. I'm not sure I can hold on for 10k of watching Cullen all by himself in his TT bike. But ahead of him is Littlewood. Some 6 kilometres, 1 lap. So Littlewood has just lapped Cullen. Littlewood at 3 watts per kilo. We'll begin to wrap it up now. I don't think the order of this is going to change too much, but Littlewood is going to get there just under the hour, I think. Right next to him is Tamsin. That's a common pairing, actually. The two of them have often ended up riding together. One moved up to B's before the other, but now they're both in category B. They'll be familiar with riding each other, and they're now at 35.3 kilometres. Just over 1 kilometre to go. And behind them we have, further 16 seconds further back is White, unlikely to catch up with Littlewood, although he too has passed Cullen. And I don't think we have any other riders in the field. Lay, oh, he's already passed, sorry. have a quick look, see if I can get one more finish in. There is Littlewood and Tamsin, is it pulling away, I think? No, it's Littlewood pulling away from Tamsin, pulls out just in front of her at the finish line. Nixon has crossed as well, ahead, some 27 seconds ahead of them, and we'll have a final sad look at Cullen persevering. This is a rider that will not stop. He may not have made the right choice of bike, 28 kilometres. He's got a long way to go yet, but he's not the sort of person to give up, so all credit to him. And we will finish the live stream for tonight, so thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to click on like, it makes a big difference to my motivation to keep recording these, or if you don't want to hear from them, of course, don't click on like, but it would help. Next race is on Wednesday evening. Thank you for watching. See you all then.